Funko Pop collecting has changed a lot over the years, and for the worst. Let's talk about it.
Welcome to the Gastlecast. We're glad you're there. You get the right time. We had an all-time high. Funko's hot toys and charms don't mind. Stick around, like, comment, and be sure to subscribe because life's a little better when you answer Chris and Heather. Hey, life's a little better when you answer Chris and Heather. Hey, life's a little better when you answer Chris and Heather. And remember, as you travel along, we hunt together. Yes.
So these next 3 videos that you're going to be watching is what I like to refer to as reminiscing the good old days, where we're going to talk about our start with Funko Pop collecting and watching how it's changed over the many years that we've been doing it. And it has mostly changed for the worst. It's horrible. It's nothing like it used to be. And that sucks, mainly because I hate change.
You sound like the grumpy old man that you are.
It used to be that Heather and I could go out to a store and we could hunt for Funko Pops, and that has changed a lot over the last couple of years. So how have things changed since we started collecting way back in 2014? What was Funko Pop collecting then? What is it today? And what's it going to be tomorrow? We're going to discuss all of that in this trilogy of videos I like to call Funko's Rise and Fall. Is that dramatic enough?
Yeah, are you gonna put like thunder behind it or something? Because I think that would really give it some oomph.
And the last video that we make will actually have some positivity to it, so don't get too upset yet and yell hater in the comment section down below.
They will though.
Alright, so like many other Funko Pop collectors, for me, it started with something that I wanted to buy at a very cheap price. And they were the Guardians of the Galaxy from the first film. I wanted to collect something that was Guardians of the Galaxy related. I found Funko Pops, and from that point forward, I have been fully head over heels in love.
Yeah, you bought the entire Guardian set besides Yondu.
I later regretted it because Yondu, of course, spoiler alert, dies in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And by the time the second film came out, I didn't have Yondu, and Heather likes to twist that dagger every chance she can get.
Because I had to pay inflated prices for it.
But see, back then, going to the store always seemed like a treasure hunt. I never knew what I was actually going to find in store, and I would say most of that has to do with me not following Funko news at the time, not really following social media sources. I was really just on my own, and I would go out to the store. Heather and I would sort of walk around a little bit. She did not give a single but I did, and I remember going to Hot Topic one day and finding, I think it was Howard the Duck or something. I had all my Guardians, now I got Howard the Duck. It fit in perfectly because he was also in Guardians. But it was really fun going to the store not really knowing what I was going to see. Lots have changed over the years, and we're going to discuss that a little bit later on. But the mysterious and fun aspect of going to the store not knowing what you were going to find was something that really spoke to me. I enjoyed the mystery.
It was always really fun to walk into a store knowing what was out, but then getting like a second wave of it. I remember well after the first wave of Stranger Things Pops came out, I already had all of them, but I went to a Target and I found 2 chases in one. This is months after they had been off the shelves. I found the Hopper chase and the 11 with Eggos chase sitting on the shelf at Target, front row. Nobody hit them or anything. They were just sitting there staring me in the eye. I picked them up because I knew that somebody was gonna want them, and I gave them to a friend. 2 chases at once.
Okay, you're so noble, we get it.
No, I just meant like...
I gave him to a friend. We hunt together. Okay, we get it.
You know, that was like the third 11 with Eggos chase that we had found in the wild.
Okay, so you actually made a very good point that I was going to make in this video, but you've done it a little bit earlier than I suspected. That right there is what we used to have, and I like to refer to that as Funko Collector Experience. You go out, you find stuff on the shelf, and it's really exciting, and you get to go tell all of your friends about your story. Remember the time that I found the Grady Twins chase at Target, and I almost pee-peed in my pants, but I pooped a little?
That's disgusting, but yes, I remember this because I was at work that day, or heading into work, and I was sitting in a Starbucks parking lot, about to pull out with my coffee, because I got a coffee, and I answered my phone, and you said, and I had to do this.
It was the best orgasm I've ever had.
You're disgusting.
These little moments don't exist anymore. They're gone. I don't know if you just started collecting or not, or if you have been a collector as long as we have, or maybe even a lot longer. But we've all had those moments at some point in time. I feel like if you just started collecting, or you've been collecting for a couple of years, you most likely have not had a situation like that happen to you. In fact, it even used to happen on Funko.com. They would drop limited pieces. You would have your chance at buying the limited piece, and if you didn't get to it fast enough, it sold out in a flash. I think the only thing that could be similar to back then, which is why I like it so much and we praise it, are Funko NFTs.
Low piece counts. It's sort of a rush. You're sort of like hunting slash gambling, and it's fun to get something that not everybody else is going to have.
Absolutely. That's the fun part of it. That's the fun part about collecting. You can buy all the commons all the live long day, but it's really special when you get that one very special piece for you. As an example, the Freddy Funko Optimus Prime Funko Pops. Thank you to our friend for sending them to me. You are f***ing amazing. But the fact that I own those makes me feel all good inside. I got a lot of butterflies in there. I got a couple butterflies that like to f*** very hard, and they're f***ing in there. But seriously, that is what this is all about, right? The hobby is about being excited, being happy, and a lot of that has been taken away from us. All this seemed to happen right around 2018 when the Infinity War Funko Pops came out.
Remember the set of 3 Chrome Pops from like Australia?
I do.
Everybody f***ing wanted those. And Funko found out about it, and then they started Chrome everything. But that seemed to be like the time of the downfall of everything. It just started to crumble down, and that was a big issue because not only did they chrome those 3, which were fun, they were fun. People were paying big bucks to get those 3 pops. Then they chromed the Thanoses, and then they chromed the Hawks in the same colors they chromed the Thanos.
They literally chromed it all is what they did, and then they came out with a gold chrome series. They literally chromed everything, and it was terrible. All of it was terrible, although I will say, if you go back and watch some of the videos, I did enjoy a lot of that stuff.
Before they got overproduced.
Before it got a little too crazy.
And then in 2020 was when the original Target Blacklight Marvel Funko Pops came out, and everybody wanted them, and they were like pretty high up there for quite some time.
Yeah, it seems like the Funko comes out with a lot of trends, and sometimes the trends work really, really well at first, and then they sort of crash and burn. They overdo it, and that's exactly what happened with the Blacklight Funko Pops. But I want to rewind back just a little bit more. There was a time where Heather and I were hunting. It was very early on, but we started noticing a lot of flippers out there in the real world.
Do you remember standing in Hot Topic waiting for shipments to come in? And then after a while, people sort of caught on, and like flippers would be standing in line with you at Hot Topic because they realized that the chases and more limited pieces could make them money.
Exactly. People started to realize there was money in Funko, so they would stand in line and they would try to buy up all the Funko Pops so they could turn around and sell them on the aftermarket. I remember going inside of a Hot Topic way before we really got into Funko Pop collecting. There was an entire table full of blue crystal Heisenbergs. And this Funko Pop, if you know or you don't know, is a couple $100 Funko Pop today. And meanwhile, I was standing in front of a table of piles of them days after a con release. In fact, I walked right past them. Well, I wanted to buy it, but you told me not to. At the time, I didn't watch Breaking Bad, so I didn't know anything about it. And then she said
I
she
did,
didn't
but
want
I
it.
wasn't really collecting. Like, I saw what Pops did to you, and I was like, I don't want to be doing all that.
A couple years later, Heather wanted that thing. She was foaming at the mouth, and we ended up having to get it.
I could have gotten it for less than $15.
But flippers changed the game in a really big way. In a good and bad way. In a good way, it actually made Funko Pop collecting more of a hunt because you had to beat the people that were trying to buy them and flip them on the secondary market. But the bad side of it is you're going against people who are trying to flip Funko Pops on the secondary market, and that's never fun. And having to go head to head with these people who are willing to take the back doors at malls is never good, especially when you're a law-abiding citizen like us.
Yep. Never took the back door.
Very dirty back there.
It's very dark. Doesn't really get cleaned that well all the time.
Speak for yourself. We have a lot of friends that collect Funko Pops, and they've been collecting for a very long time. In fact, they told us, back when they would go to SDCC, Funko could not get rid of some of their exclusives.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the exclusives today that are in the thousands.
It's insane.
Things are so much different now. People are clawing at each other in order to get these exclusives.
And speaking of clawing at each other, the reason Hot Topic changed their policy and didn't put chases or any new pops on the floor as they received their shipments in and waited until the next day, because of an incident that happened at our local area. And right around this time was also when the landscape started to change a bit.
Yeah, there was somebody who was trying to get a Krampus chase Funko Pop at Hot Topic. A fight ensued. One of the employees got involved and got like knocked over, and the police came. It was a whole thing. And so apparently that changed everything for all Hot Topic stores across the board. In fact, it made hunting horrible. Like, hunting wasn't even fun anymore. You couldn't just walk into a Hot Topic and find anything. People were standing in long lines. That was a huge downfall to Funko Pop collecting. It used to be that you go out to the store and you could find chases on the shelves, but it got to a point where they were behind the counter and you had to wait to talk to an employee in order to get it.
Yeah, or wait in line before the store opened.
Yeah.
And file in single file. And I feel like all of those things we mentioned, the chrome and black lights happened really close together. A big influx of flippers happened around the same time. I mean, like I said before, there's always been flippers. I feel like it all happened within like this 2-year span, and things just sort of started rapidly going down.
The more that Funko grew and the more it got popular, the worse things got. And it wasn't up until about 2020 when the pandemic happened that really changed the entire landscape for Funko. At first, it seemed pretty great. People were sitting at home spending money frivolously, buying Funko Pops new and old, which ended up hyping up Funko, where Funko decided to make more product because there was a huge demand during that little period of time. Funko had basically picked up a ton of popularity overnight, and that's when things got pretty f***ed up.
A lot of people were still working, but a lot of places were shut down, so you weren't spending money on the movie theaters or bowling or whatever you would do in your free time. And on top of that, people were getting those stimulus checks from the government and spending that money on things that they didn't need.
This increased the demand across the board, like with many other things in the world at the time.
Like toilet paper, because apparently everyone was and didn't have anything to clean it up with. I don't know.
Yeah, people were like crazy.
Yeah, that was a really weird time. I feel like them overdoing it with the chrome, the pandemic happening, them overdoing it with the black light, overproducing and everything, and on top of that, store policies changing, all happened within that small window of time and all completely changed the landscape of Funko.
Things aren't as hyped up as they used to be. Typically, the only thing that gets any hype these days is if a one-piece Funko Pop pops up on Funko.com.
One of them guys on the boat.
One of them guys on the boat. And also, convention exclusives seem to get people pretty amped up also. But this all started from a really, really tiny collector platform where people were running out to Hot Topic and Target to buy Funko Pops that most people had no idea existed. When you would go out back then, when we first started collecting, people had no idea what a Funko Pop was. You had to explain it. You had to show photos on your phone.
I remember when Hot Topic employees hardly knew what Funko Pops were, and that's such a small store. It's one thing for like Walmart employees not to know because they sell food,
Yeah.
clothes, fishing poles, like anything that you could possibly want you can find at Walmart. Hot Topic, clothing, collectibles, makeup, and piercing stuff. I remember when those employees didn't know what pops were. It was crazy.
Back then, you didn't have a full pop wall. You had like little pop sections. And it's funny because back then, you started off on a real small wall. It built up over the years to this humongous wall that went from floor to ceiling. Now it's shrunk down again.
Yeah, at least at our local Hot Topics. I have seen some that haven't shrunk yet, but our local Hot Topics, like 3 or 4 of them in the area, have significantly shrunk their pop section.
The one thing we did not get into is talking about Funko as a company and what was going on behind the scenes. What we've been talking about this whole time is how us collectors got into Funko Pops and watching how Funko Pop collecting has changed over the years. But behind the walls of Funko, things have been really crazy, and Heather and I have been covering most of that news over the last year or two. From layoffs, to throwing away Funko Pops, to screwing up the way that they handle NFTs, Funko has been through it all. In our next video, we're going to talk about what happened behind the scenes at Funko and how it's changed Funko Pop collecting forever. And then in our third video, we're going to talk about the rising phoenix that is Funko and where we see them going over the next couple of years and how they will get there. This trilogy is going to be our favorite trilogy of videos yet.
You know, one thing we didn't bring up during this video is the fact that they got rid of Dorbs, and that was their biggest mistake.
How dare you, Funko?
Let us know what you think about everything we said and more, and how your collecting experience aligns with our collecting experience in the comment section down below.
In every video, we like to shout out to some of our patrons from Patreon. In this video, we'd like to shout out to Mark Wright, Veronica Knotts, David Azadorian, Harley Malk, Nathan Maidment, Devontae McFarland, Wayne Garber, Sean Green, Star Rosas, and Marchitect. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. We appreciate all of our patrons. You guys rock. Thank you so much for staying until the very end of the video. We appreciate all of your support. It means the world to us. And make sure you check out poppinofftoys.com and use promo code Gastlecast to get 10% off of your entire order. They've got all sorts of cool stuff over there, so go and check them out. poppinofftoys.com. Use promo code Gastlecast for 10% off. All right, it's that time again. Remember, as always, we hunt together, yes. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.